Hello everyone, I welcome you all. In previous lecture, we have seen or started the design of pressurized concrete girder, and there we have covered the step 1, that is general design requirements. You can go once again through this statement so that we'll move towards now step 2. First of all, go through the brief highlight. We have started our numerical here. These were the given things. We have considered this stress diagram as per IS 1343 and clauses are mentioned here. We have calculated the initial stress values and final stress values, that is FCI and FC2 according to the considerations and as per the IS 1343-2012. And in this way here we have completed our step 2. Now let us move towards step 2. Now step 2 is design of section. Step 2 is design of section. Prior to that, it was given that live load intensity is 15 kilonewton per meter. Live load intensity was 15 kilonewton per meter, hence notation WQ. Now we can calculate the moment due to live load, that is nothing but M2. MQ, that is nothing but moment due to live load, and as this is the UDL, we can calculate the moment for UDL as WL square by 8. Substitute the live load intensity as 15. Length of the member is given as 15 divided by 8. Hence, moment due to live load will be 421.88 kilonewton meter. Now, overall depth of section that is to be required. And you can calculate the overall depth by this generalized equation or empirical formula L by 20 to L by 18. Substituting the values 15,000 by 20, this 15,000 is nothing but length of the member in mm, or 15,000 by 18, that is D will be 750 mm to 834 mm. Now within this range we are supposed to adopt the overall depth of the member. Hence adopt D equal to 830 mm. Now take care that you adopt depth towards the maximum size so that at the end all the checks that you are supposed to provide will be in safe condition, or else if your checks fail then you are supposed to revise the beam section. Hence use overall depth towards maximum side always. And if you are supposed to design the economical section, then you are supposed to consider the intermediate value of overall depth D, and you are supposed to do all the calculation on trial and error basis to achieve the economical section. But from exam point of view, you are supposed to consider overall depth D on maximum side so that at the end all the checks will be satisfied. Now we have calculated D and considered our overall depth to 830 mm. Now calculating the pre-stressing force. Now assume only live load is acting on girder at final or say working stage. Now assume only live load is acting on girder at final or working stage. And when such will be the case, this will be the stress diagram that is to be referred. As we have assumed only live load is acting at working stage, hence FC2, and that we have calculated 18.5 MTA. This FC2 value we have determined in step 1. Here there will be maximum compressive forces and here there will be tensile forces occurring. Hence, as compressive forces goes on decreasing, tensile forces increase. Hence, at the end, the stress value at bottom fiber will be nearly 0. And this is nothing but Z. Z here is nothing but lever arm. Z here is nothing but lever arm, that is 0.5 D. Now, overall depth we have assumed as 830 mm, means 0.5 into 830, therefore we get Z is equal to 415 mm. We get Z is equal to 415 mm. Now here moment due to live load will be ML is equal to C into Z. Here C is nothing but compressive force, C is nothing but compressive force, or ML is equal to T into Z. T is nothing but tensile force and Z is the lever arm. As you are knowing, moment is nothing but force into perpendicular distance. Now, as we are calculating or assuming only live load is acting at final stage. As we are considering only live load is acting at the final stage, hence ML is equal to P0 into Z, where Pi is nothing but initial force, that is initial pre-stressing force, and P0 is final pre-stressing force. Hence, we are considering at final stage, that is working stage, that will be nothing but P0. Moment due to live load we have calculated, that is MQ. Will substitute 421.88 into 10 raised to 6 Newton mm. We have converted moment here from kilonewton meter to Newton mm, is equal to P into Z. We have calculated 415, and on simplifying this we get P0, that is pre-stressing force at final stage, at 1016.58 kilonewton. This is the pre-stressing force. This is the pre-stressing force. Now, as we have assumed only final stage, hence FC1 here will be 0. Therefore, F average will be FC1 plus FC2 divided by 2, that is 0 plus FC2 we have calculated 18.5 divided by 2, hence F average is 9.25 MPa. Now the question arises, why we have calculated P and F average, that is pre-stressing force and F average. Also you can rewind, we have assumed overall depth of 830 mm because our aim is to design the section, and before that we should finalize the dimensions of the section. And you might be knowing stress is nothing but force per unit area. Stress is nothing but, this is just for explanation, stress is nothing but force per unit area, that is sigma is equal to P by A. Now stress here we have calculated, this is nothing but F average. We are supposed to determine the area, and pre-stressing force we have calculated, and that was 1016.58 kilonewton. Hence on simplifying this equation we will get the gross area of the section. We will get gross area of the section. Now F average we have calculated was 9.25 MPa. Therefore, stress is equal to force per unit area, and AC or AG will be P by F average, that is nothing but 1016.58 into 10 raised to 3 Newton. Because we have calculated in kilonewton, here we are converting into Newton, so that we will get area in mm. as our F average is 9.25 MPa, unit is Newton per mm square. Therefore, gross area is 109.90 into 10 raised to 3 mm square. Gross area here is 109.90 into 10 raised to 3 mm square. Now, the dimension that we will be considering for this I section and total area of this section should be greater than this area. For this purpose, we have calculated the F average pre-stretching force phi so that we can calculate the gross area required from the equation stress is equal to force per unit area. Now, our next step will be selection of section dimensions. Now further, after calculation of this gross area, we are supposed to select the section dimensions, and for that there are some general guidelines. Some general guidelines are to be followed. Now what are these guidelines? Let us see one by one. Now as I have said, I will be explaining some theory part during explaining designing the numerical itself. So you are not supposed to consider this theory during solving or designing the problem from exam point of view. This theory is only for the purpose of explanation. These are the general guidelines that are to be followed when section is to be selected. First one, for web thickness should be such that at least it will accommodate one cable in it. Web thickness should be such that it will accommodate at least one cable in it. One cable means what? In question it was given that you are supposed to consider the cable of 12/5, that is 12 wires of 5 mm 5, and such one cable should be accommodated in that way. That much thickness you are supposed to consider. For Fressinet cable, duct diameter is 40 mm as per the clause 12.1.6 IS 1343/2012 page 15. You can go through this clause number 12.1.6 IS 1343/2012 page 15 for this consideration. Minimum clear cover that is to be provided is 30 mm or diameter of the cable, whichever is greater. Next, web thickness should not be less than 120 mm. Web thickness should not be less than 120 mm. For flanges, flange has to carry compression throughout the life. Hence, flange thickness should not be less than web thickness. Hence, flange thickness should not be less than web thickness. And outspan, that is overhanging portion of the flange from web. Here you can see, if this is the I section, this is the outspan. This is the outspan, overhanging portion of the flange. And outspan should not be greater than 3 times thickness to avoid the cantilever failure of the flange. Means this overhang should not be greater than 3 times of the thickness of the flange so as to avoid cantilever failure of the flange. And section should not be symmetrical in any case. Important thing is section should not be symmetrical. These are the general guidelines that you should follow. Basic is minimum thickness of web should be 150 mm. Cover that is to be provided will be 30 mm or phi of the cable, whichever is greater. And for flange, the thickness of the flange should not be less than the web thickness, and outspan should not be greater than 3 times the thickness of the flange. These are the general guidelines that you are supposed to consider, and this was only for explanation. During designing the problem from exam point of view, you are not supposed to write this theory. Now let us select the section. This is the I section, and as it was said, it would be better if section is not symmetrical. Now let us name this top flange as 1 number, this wave as second, and this bottom flange as component 3. Overall depth that we have assumed is 830 mm. Overall depth that we have assumed is 830 mm. Now we are supposed to calculate width of the flange at top, that is nothing but 0.5 d. this thumb rule you are supposed to use. BF, that is width of the flange at top, is equal to 0.5 into D, 0.5 into 830, that will be 415 mm. Hence, adopt BF at top as 400 mm. Width of the flange at top as 400 mm. Now, web thickness, that is WB, and it will be 0.15 D as per the thumb rule. 0.15 into 830, therefore it comes to 124.5 mm. Hence, adopt thickness of the web as 130 mm. Hence, adopt thickness of the web as 130 mm. And thickness of top flange, thickness of this top flange will be 0.2 D. 0.2 into 830 is equal to 166 mm. Hence, adopt thickness as 150 mm. 150 mm, that is nothing but near about 0.2 D. Adopt thickness of top flange as 150 mm. And thickness of flange at bottom will be 2 into thickness of flange at top, that is nothing but 2 into 150 is equal to 300 mm. Hence, thickness of bottom flange will be 300 mm. And assume width of flange at bottom, as 350 mm. That should be greater than the thickness of the flange. Hence, assume 350 mm as width of the bottom flange. Hence, we have assumed web thickness as 130 mm, bottom flange thickness 300 mm, top flange thickness 150 mm, top flange width 400 mm, bottom flange width 350 mm, and on calculation we get depth of the web as 380 mm. 380 mm, how it has came? 830 minus 150 minus 300. Hence, 380 mm will be depth of the web. That is component second. Component 1 top flange, second component web, third component bottom flange. Hence, section properties will be A1, that is area of the top flange, 400 mm by 150 mm, A2 area of web 130 by 380 mm, A3 area of bottom flange 350 by 300 mm. And on calculation these areas are 60,000 mm square, 49,400 mm square and 1,05,000 mm square. Hence, total area of the section will be A1 plus A2 plus A3, and that comes to be 214400 mm square. 214400 mm square. Now we are supposed to calculate Y1, Y2 and Y3. Now Y1, Y2 and Y3 are nothing but, this is our I section, first component, second and third component. Y1, Y2, Y3 are nothing but distance from bottom extreme fiber up to CG of this member. This will be Y1. Distance from bottom extreme fiber or x-axis up to the CG of second member will be Y2, and this will be Y3. Distance from x-axis up to CG of third component. Hence, we will calculate 150 by 2 plus 150 by 2, half of this, plus web depth plus this depth. Similarly, y2, 380 by 2 plus 300 is equal to 490 mm, and y3, 300 by 2 is equal to 150 mm. And this y1, y2, y3 are required so as to calculate yb and yt. Hence, yb will be a1 y1 plus a2 y2 plus a3 y3 divided by a1 plus a2 plus a3. Yb is nothing but Cj of entire section from x-axis, and substituting all the values a1, a2, a3, y1, y2, y3 in this equation, you get yb is equal to 397.64 mm. Therefore, yt will be 830, that is overall depth of the section, minus yb, that is yt is nothing but distance from Cg up to the top extreme fiber. Hence yt will be 432.35 mm. Now we are unknown with the dead load intensity, and dead load intensity is nothing but 25 into area of concrete. Here 25 is nothing but unit weight of concrete, and area is nothing but area of the section. Or 25 into area of the concrete, that we have calculated a1 plus a2 plus a3 as 214400 mm square. 214400 mm square. Now as this unit is kilonewton per meter cube and this is mm square, hence we are supposed to convert it into meter square, multiply by 10 raised to minus 6. Therefore dead load intensity we get is 5.36 kilonewton per meter. Dead load intensity is 5.36 kilonewton meter. Hence calculate moment due to dead load mg wg L square by 8, 5.36 into 15 square by 8, hence moment due to dead load mg will be 150.7 kilonewton meter. Hence total moment acting will be mt is equal to mg plus mq. mg is nothing but 150.75 and mq is 421.88. Therefore total moment mt will be 572.63 kilonewton meter. This is the total moment that is acting over there. Now consider stress distribution diagram for final stage. Stress distribution diagram for final stage. Assume this stress diagram. Here there will be compressive forces, tensile forces, and this will be the Z lever arm. Z here will be 0.65 D, because 0.65 D is equal to 0.65 D is for heavy section. This will be the F. Hence for heavy section total moment will be considered. This will be the tensile force T, or you can say P and Z. MT we have calculated as 572.63 into 10 raised to 6. We have converted kilonewton meter into Newton mm is equal to T, that is nothing but tensile force at the final stage, or you can say it as P0 into Z. Z is nothing but 0.65 into 830. 0.65 into D overall depth. On solving this we get P0, or say T, equal to 1061.40 kilonewton. 1061.40 kilonewton. And assuming, now this force is due to both dead load moment and live load moment. Hence, throughout we are supposed to consider this P0 1061.40 kilonewton. Assuming 15% of loss of pre-stress. Assuming 15% of loss of pre-stress, initial pre-stressing force Pi will be P0 by 0.85. Because we are considering 15% loss of pre-stress, hence we are supposed to add 15% in this 1061, so that we will be getting the initial pre-stressing force, and this we can get by P0 by 0.85. 1061.40 divided by 0.85 is nothing but 1248.71 kilonewton. Hence we get initial pre-stress value Pi as 1248.71 kilonewton. This is nothing but initial pre-stress values found from considering both moment m from total moment, that is moment due to dead load, and moment due to live load, that is nothing but mt, which has came 572.63 kilonewton meter. This was the step 2 in view with designing the post tension I girder. The third step we will be seeing in the upcoming video. For any queries or doubts, you can comment in the comment box or go through the notes which are provided, and the link for the note is given in the description box of this video. Next step we will be seeing in the upcoming videos. Thank you very much.